This episode is brought to you by Summer School Electronics. With pedals like the Snow Day Delay, the Pep Rally Fuzz, the Trash Panda, and my personal favorite, the Science Fair, which is two classic dirt pedals in one, with a mid-boosted overdrive on one side, a black lab rat circuit on the other, and a blend knob to blend between them to find the perfect classic stacked dirt sound you're looking for, it's hard not to find something you'll love. Mark builds all of his pedals by hand in Syracuse, New York, where he also works as a full-time educator. In addition to the super fun graphics on their pedals, Mark also offers custom artwork. Want your dog's face on a pedal? He can do it. Want your face on a pedal? He can make that happen too. Go over to summerschoolelectronics.com and make sure to tell him that 40 Watt Podcast sent you. This episode is brought to you by the supporters of 40 Watt Podcast over on Patreon. Go over to patreon.com/40wattpodcast, where for as little as $3 per month, you can help support the podcast and get every episode ad-free. For $5 a month, you'll get every episode ad-free, as well as a bonus episode every week. I can't overstate how thankful I am for the support of my patrons, and hope you'll consider joining the team and helping keep this show on the road. 40 Watters, here we are. It's a new year. It's a new season, season 4, episode 1. And this week I am joined by none other than Mr. Hum himself, Ryan Burke of 60 Cycle Hum. Ryan, I feel like I just saw you. How are you, dude?
I'm doing good. Yeah, we just saw each other, like a week ago? A week and a couple days?
Yeah, a week and some days.
Yeah.
It was a wild time, NAMM. My first NAMM experience. My first NAMM Thrax experience.
Well, you did Summer NAMM, but that wasn't a real NAMM.
Yeah, do we count that?
I don't
is that
think we
actually?
Should. No, that wasn't a real NAMM.
I think it was a great first NAMM for me because I got like this baby experience. It's like the kid gloves version of NAMM, but
that Summer NAMM that we went to together, it was smaller than like a community garage sale sort of thing. That one COVID Summer NAMM they tried to do, and like no one bought booths, no one was there. Like it was insulting that they still held it, you know.
Yeah, it was ridiculously tiny. People had booths so they didn't even bother to put somebody at.
Right.
They just had a booth, and like at the Gretsch had like a booth with one guitar. Incidentally, that's not that far off of their booth from NAMM this year.
No.
Did you go by the Gretsch booth?
I walked by it, but I didn't stop in. Like Gretsch always goes pretty minimal. TV Jones is always right next to them, and TV Jones goes bigger, but the Gretsch booth is always just like, oh, okay, they're just here to have a couple meetings, I think.
Yeah, no, that's definitely what it felt like. It felt like it's not their jam. It's not exactly the way they do things. And
Yeah,
it's fine. Gretsch is an interesting company that way.
They can do whatever they want. They're Gretsch, you know?
Yeah, exactly. People know who they are.
Right. It's not like someone's going to find out about this brand new brand hot on the market.
Yeah.
Check out Gretsch. We got the hot new stuff.
So cutting edge, man.
Yeah. It would be fun if they came out with something like completely unexpected. Like if Gretsch came out with like a 7-string, you know, like
oh man,
mixed.
Someone
scale.
Please tell me that's already existed and we've all just forgotten it.
Well, I'm sure
Like,
there's a 7-string Gretsch, but it's like supposed to be jazzy or something like that. I mean, like you come out with like a modern metal-y thing with 7-string Filtertrons in it or something. 7-string Bigsby.
I'm here for. Oh man, I'm so here for it.
Headless.
I want Gretsch to do something weird. It's one of those things that like I would never buy, but I want to just know that it exists.
Yeah. So you can sleep at night.
Yeah, I felt like there was a lot of that. I discovered a lot of those things at NAMM that I was like, I will never own this.
Right.
I have no need to ever have this, but I love that it exists.
I'm looking forward to when NAMM comes all the way back, returns to its former glory, when you can get the real like eccentric booths going on, like the real eccentric products that like barely make sense at all. It's just like down in the basement, like, oh, another modular guitar, or like another modular pedal where you put Lego bricks together to make a fuzz and you can swap out the tones and stuff like that. Like, kind of miss all that stuff.
Yeah, there was like remnants of that at Summer NAMM in 21. Saw a couple of those that were really interesting. And then there's always the guy from Omaha that does Big Johnson bass guitars.
Right.
listeners, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm not going to explain it to you.
Yeah,
You're going to have
yeah.
to just go look it up. It's bonkers and wild.
There used
And
to be a guy who'd come to every single NAMM, and he has these speaker cabs called clops,
yep.
and they'd be drums, but he would put a speaker inside of it and wrap the whole thing in fur, and it was supposed to be like
I've
a
only ever heard of this
tunable.
guy in folklore.
Yeah,
I,
he's a legend at this point. Did he
yeah,
ever really
he
exist?
barely exists.
The legend is that he's never actually sold one, but people have like offered to buy the company from him, but he just like won't do business with anyone.
What?
I know.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I love the weird and wild and wonderful and
Yeah.
honestly, I didn't see like a massive ton of that at NAMM this year.
No,
It
you
felt
had to.
very straightforward.
It's so expensive to be there. Like you have to really want to be there. There's no cheap seats, is my understanding. So
Yeah. The only thing that really was sort of weird was the guy at a booth that I won't name that tried to sell me on his perfecting the SM57 by basically putting laser sights on it.
I didn't see that, but Steve was telling me about that.
Man.
Laser guided SM57.
That's what it was. It was
We're
totally...
taking a sub $100 mic and we're strapping lasers to it. Like, what are we doing here?
I've got video. I need to pull it and put it up on Instagram.
Oh,
I've
man.
got so much video that I still haven't culled through and maybe never will.
That's
it may
the
just
thing,
go
man.
into the archives.
I used to do all that stuff. I used to go to NAMM and try to shoot 40 videos, and then like it'd spend months going through it all, and like I'd be like, "Well, I have to edit it. I shot it all." It's like no one's watching this. Why am I still doing this?
Yeah, no. I've got one video I will accomplish. I'll get it out. It's going to be 2 weeks later than it should be to be relevant, but it's fine. When you get sick immediately on coming back and then have to jump back into your day job as well, you run out of time quickly. And once you come out of that,
yeah, it doesn't have to be relevant to NAMM. Just cook up some real spicy clickbait and then surprise everyone. Surprise! It's the NAMM video, but like you won't believe what they said about this. Like you think of like Phil McKnight,
Yeah, it's exactly. I mean, laser guided SM57.
Yeah,
Come
yeah,
on.
that's a clickbait right here.
I love it. So
and you need to Photoshop an SM57 with a scope on it.
dude, absolutely. And it's got to be fully like kitted out, like totally tactical, like completely blacked out.
Oh, tactical SM57s is the future. Like
100%, dude.
you get a short enough cable, and you get a male to male short cable, and you can make nunchucks out of them. So
that is not the direction I was going, but I love it. So I think that's something that needs to be part of the board game we're cooking up.
Oh yeah, the board game.
Oh no, it's happening. I'm not gonna say too much about that, but that's
you're working
happening.
on it behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, we're working on it. I was messaging Haley yesterday about it, some ideas. So coming out of NAMM, it felt like. Tell me if I'm wrong, because I spent most of the week or weekend or whatever you're gonna call the 4 or 5 days that I was in California, meeting people and not really paying attention to stuff. It felt like it was light on like big releases.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of big brands that just weren't there, and also I feel like we're starting to catch the post NAMM cycle, where during NAMM, brands were just like, we gotta put stuff out, we gotta haul out these lines that we've been working on and rush into market because everyone's buying right now, and then everything cooled way off when everyone started going back to work. And so now we're seeing the brands be a lot more conservative, I think. They're maybe sitting on their hands a little bit, like they might have stuff in the works, but they're not going to rush it out because there's not a market there that's just snatching things up right now. So they're going to sit on it a bit.
Yeah, for me, it felt like one of the bigger releases. There were a few things I was really excited about. Some things that are just very me-centric, not necessarily I think the guitar space is excited about them as I am.
Sure.
Like Zach at Mythos put out his new overdrive. I don't know how many people are really that excited about a new dual overdrive pedal. I mean,
Wait, two overdrives? Like
Yeah,
one
two.
overdrive, boring, but it's two? Oh my gosh. It's never been done before.
And then of course there's the Epiphone Dave Grohl that I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I think that's a pretty big splash. I think that's a
Gibson probably is coming strongest into NAMM with the Epiphone stuff, and they weren't even there.
they weren't even there. I'm
They
so
had the
pumped about
biggest
the
release,
Epiphones coming out.
and they didn't even show up, you know?
They sponsored parts.
Yeah,
Like their name was
they
there.
they do that, but they're not going to get a booth anymore, at least for not for a long while, I think is the plan.
Yeah.
So, who
Yeah, no,
knows?
I'm pretty excited about the Epiphone releases with the DG335, a couple of new Firebirds, a new Thunderbird with a brand new pickup style in it.
Yeah.
It's like, man, Epiphone's going to come hard this year. I'm pretty pumped about it. I will say the highlight though, and this is where I really want to dive in. I think the highlight was the tacos and burritos I had while I was out there because so the last time I was in California was 20 years previously, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And I was not the man of culture that I am now that can appreciate
2004.
it. Yeah, 2004. We played a bunch of shows at some places I don't even remember in LA.
Were you like in a
Um,
new metal band or something like that? Like,
it was an alt rock band. It was my
all right,
sister's band. Yeah.
gotcha.
Um, very very. It was the height of Evanescence, and my sister's greatest like idol was Amy Lee, and we were in that vein. I was playing bass in that band, and it was weird because we got booked at like a couple of these rock places, and then this like I really wish I knew where this place was. I wish I could find it again. Um, but it was this place somewhere in the greater Los Angeles area that I seem to recall was like in a junkyard.
Oh,
And
it
like
could be like a million different places. Like, you gotta
I know,
whittle it
like in a
down.
junkyard, you go in it's like this blues R&B club, and we're this alt rock band playing this blues because
And
we're
it's
from
in a
Mississippi, I
junkyard.
guess. I don't
It's
know.
amazing.
And like all the walls are lined with nothing. It's just wall to wall mirrors, and it was like circus fun house in a junkyard kind of venue, and it was
I
so wild.
I think I have a vague idea of where you're talking about. Like
Oh gosh, that was
there was a
scares me.
venue that was like this really eclectic place. And I never got to go there, but I always heard about it.
Man,
But it was
if you could come up with it, that'd be wild.
like it had like a scrapyard vibe
Yeah,
sort of thing. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I would love
I'll,
to know what that was.
I'll have to try to figure out what that was. I bet Steve remembers. If you ask
Uh,
Steve, like he'll know. Oh yeah, this place, and it was open from 1998 to 2012, and then it closed. Like he'll have news articles that he pulls up out of his brain.
that he is definitely that facts guy.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I wasn't really like, I was a early 20s something, and I didn't appreciate great Mexican food the way I
Hmm.
do now. Um, and so we had some pretty decent taco places while we were there. And you are an absolute connoisseur of the burrito and taco. Like the whole time we were there, I realized that listeners came to this for guitars.
Oh yeah,
I'm
who cares?
diverting us right
Food
now.
time. Yeah.
Food time. What makes Southern California burritos and tacos different? What is it that they do differently?
I mean, there's a bunch of different styles.
Hmm.
And LA, I'm in San Diego, and LA and San Diego, we vary in styles and different stuff. I will say that LA creams San Diego as far as tacos go. Like
Okay.
LA has tacos figured out. And I don't mean like gourmet tacos, like fancy sit down, like, like, oh, there's, sweet potato, you know, compote on this or whatever like that. I'm talking just
Yeah.
like
No.
straight up like Mexican street tacos. LA has it. San Diego tends to dominate in burritos, like we just do. Um, I think the core element that makes them good, though, is that the vast majority of the places that you find are Mexican family owned and operated, and they come out of a lineage of other restaurants where people worked and then went and started their own, and they were able to get buildings or food trucks or street carts and start their own businesses and do things with their own home recipes to their own taste to feed their own communities, and that just always makes for a much better food culture. No matter what the food is, like if you've got the people whose like their home recipes are the beginning of the recipe, like that's just it. um But like it's this whole culture down here where like everyone has their favorite place they like to go. We all have like 10 taco shops within a 10-mile radius of wherever you happen to live, and you know which one has the best sauce, which one has the best tortillas, which one cooks carnitas right, and you kind of like go around to whichever one you want depending on what you're in the mood for, like, oh, they haven't been getting my order right for a while, so I'm going to go to this other place. And it's there's just so much of it that the there's a bit of a capitalism thing going on where they're just trying to race to get everyone's dollar, you know. But they
Yeah,
all
well,
kind of like have the same menu too, as
well,
part of the thing.
that's the thing about just great Mexican food in general. Like, it's the same core ingredients. There's
Yeah.
really not that much of a deviation.
Well, there's different preparation styles and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
where the ingredients vary is in the styles of meats. Like different ways of cooking pork, different ways of cooking beef, different way, et cetera, et cetera. So there is variation, but like at the core of it, it's like, yeah, meat, beans, salsa, tortilla. Like that's kind of it, and then
That's
rice on the
it.
side if you want it.
Well, because so while we were out there,
Man, I'm getting
um,
hungry now. You had
I
dinner.
know,
I haven't
right?
had dinner yet.
See, I had dinner before we did this,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I also had tacos. So, it's Taco Tuesday. That's so it's on my
It is
brain, which is
Tuesday.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's Tuesday as we record this, y'all. It's in my head though, but I found it really interesting. So the one of the nights we were there, we decided, we were just going to invite some folks over to the Airbnb, just chill out, be totally easygoing, not go out drinking, and
Yeah, yeah.
instead
Which
we would
was
bring the drinks to us. And
it was the right thing to do. Like, even though it cost us like $160 to feed everyone, like that was probably like $500 less than it would have taken to get everyone to a restaurant.
yeah, oh, 100%. And like, and we found like we were judging where to get tacos by the storefront. Like, it can't be too fancy, it can't be
Right,
too
right.
nice.
You can't be
And
sit down.
yeah, and it was fantastic, and like getting and talking to you about like tacos was like a weird thing because I knew you were, really into food culture, but I think we talked at one point. I was like, I don't know how you don't do a food show. I don't know how you do a guitar show and not a food show.
I've tried. It's like it's harder to schedule around, because you
Oh,
kind of have to
sure.
be hungry to shoot. And like I was shooting stuff. I was doing 60 cycle yum videos for
Uh-huh.
a while. I think that was like a COVID thing. Like, I've got to fill out my time a little bit here. I've got time and go get food and get out of the house a little bit. I started feeling really self conscious sitting in parking lots, like filming myself eat, and like people are walking by and they see that what I'm doing, and they're like looking at me and like, oh, great. And like it gets hot in the car, so I have to roll the windows down and people hear me talking in video voice and stuff. Like, it's one thing to do it in your garage and be like, here's a pedal, whoa. It's another thing to be like emoting over, a chicken sandwich in your car with the windows open in a
I,
parking lot.
I feel like there's such a huge audience for that though, because
I know.
I don't watch it as much, but like my wife has her favorite food reviewers like on TikTok, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
that's a whole world.
Yeah,
I think I was telling you there's a guy I know here in Mississippi who he's done a lot. He's one of those like Renaissance guys, can't sit still for very long. He's been a
sure.
farmer, he's been a judge, he's been a restaurateur at
He's just
various
gonna try
points.
out being a judge for a while. Like, oh, I'll just
Yeah,
try it. Just
I'm pretty
walk
sure he's
around
still
judging people.
I'm pretty sure he still is a judge actually. But like during COVID, I think it was during COVID, he got a wild hair and started driving around reviewing Mississippi gas station food. And
Nice.
it's like the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
He parks, goes to the tailgate of his truck, goes buys something, sits at the tailgate of his truck, and just talks about whatever food the gas station had.
I don't. I've had the thought that like it would be fun to go around and document like some of my favorite like Mexican places around San Diego. But
Hmm.
like I said, like there's wherever you live in Southern California, you're within a 10-mile circle where there's 10 to 15, maybe more Mexican restaurants. And it would be so daunting. It would take me years to document them all. And by the time you document them all, then you have to go back around and start over again. But it would be feasible for me to like do like hamburger spots that make sense
Yeah.
around Southern California, because like once you get past the chains, like all the little mom and pops and stuff, like, there's some interesting things out there, and there's not an overwhelming amount of them. I
There's
think that
still a lot.
if I did get into food content again though, I might just be making food because that's easier to plan for.
That's
Just
true.
just shoot it at home, and here I am barbecuing something again. But then like I feel discouraged to do that because like the kitchen's not usually clean.
Yeah, because then you want your kitchen to be spotless, or like
Yeah,
your
yeah.
grill has to be like immaculate and ready to go. And I don't
It's never
clean my
gonna be.
grill nearly as much as I should.
Yeah, grills are like, if you see someone cooking on a grill and it looks brand new, like, no, no,
Don't
they've never
trust it.
cooked on that thing. Don't trust
Yeah.
them. They don't know what they're doing. Like your grill, like if your grill doesn't look like it got pulled out of a swamp like 2 months after you bought it, then what are you even doing? You're not grilling.
Yeah, you're not grilling.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
got to be all crusty and rusty.
and mine is. In fact, mine is
It's
mine at a
seasoning.
well, mine's at a point now where it's got like the grates, and I pull the grates, but the ledges that hold the grate in place, one of them is just rusted away. I'm gonna
Mm.
have to go drill in a new like L bracket. And just make. I haven't done it yet. I need to do it
Mine,
because.
the bottom rotted out of it.
Hmm.
And so I kind of like I measured it and eyeballed it a little bit, and I just bought some like stainless steel baking trays and just kind of
Mm.
wedged them down there. So now it's got a fresh bottom down there. Yeah,
I mean, it works.
yeah, it works.
It's literally a metal can for
Yeah,
you to house fire. That's
yeah,
that's what the grill is.
yeah. It's not
So
supposed to be this special, precious, glistening thing.
right, not if you're using it anyway. Uh,
Exactly.
I'm looking at you, green egg people. Um,
Oh, freaks, all of
yeah,
them.
I know. Doesn't make any sense. So, you had a gig this past week. I
I
want to talk about that.
did.
I haven't gotten a chance to talk to you that much since then, except to try to get you to buy a dual showman. Um,
Well, I got to play a dual showman at the gig, and then I got a comment on a Facebook, on a surf guitar Facebook group, saying that I had bad tone at the show.
what?
I know.
What?
I'm as surprised as anyone.
Yeah, how is that possible?
Here,
I need to
let me
find this video now.
I've got it's not a video, it's a post. I've got it
Oh,
right
okay.
here because I was reading it to my wife earlier. Uh, I was so looking forwards to seeing Dinosaur Ghost because I like that Man or Astro Man sound, and I watch all his YouTube videos. But for someone who's tested every amp, reverb, pedal, guitar, and string setup, he had terrible tone. And like people are in the group were like tearing him apart a little bit. And he's like, "Hey
Yeah.
man, it's just my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion." I was in there. I was like, "Oh, this is fine with me. Like, sure, whatever."
Yeah, you've played every guitar and amp and
Every
reverb pedal, Ryan.
Yeah, every single guitar, every single amp, every single combination of strings. I should have the tone of the gods, and
You right.
apparently I don't.
Me,
Here's the problem. I know
yeah.
exactly why I don't have the tone that he was expecting. It's because I like bad tone. I like, I like to sound trashy and torn up and gritty on the edges where it's not supposed to be gritty. I like to, like my go-to like influence is Link Ray, and like
Right.
most Link Ray recordings sound like a tin can microphone instead of in front of an 8-inch speaker that's falling apart. Like
So you
that's
want
what
to
I
incite
like.
riots is what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
So it's really wild because I know that like I like the tones I like tend to be darker, and
mm,
I can get myself into a lot of trouble sometimes because I don't like overly bright tones.
mm.
And therefore I've definitely had gigs where like I disappeared in mixes, and it's like nobody heard me, and I had to embrace brightness. But I feel like in surf guitar it's the complete opposite. You need
Yeah, it's just
bright.
bright and twangy and hollow and just percussive, clank, 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 drip, drip,
Yeah.
drip. You know.
It's such a weird, it, surf guitar. I know this is going to be really hard to believe, but surf guitar didn't really resonate in Mississippi, uh, down here in the South. Like there are fans down here, but they're few and far between.
Sure, sure.
There's not a lot of garage rock surf bands, and so really the only surf music I'm super familiar with is Dick Dale and the Surfer Jets got real big there for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the early days of videos on the internet kind of thing. So they
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
translated. And I guess the Beach Boys, if you could still count them as surf rock. I
Some
don't.
people do. When I'm talking about surf music, I'm not talking about the Beach Boys.
I
But
didn't figure you were.
some people group it all under that umbrella, and you can throw in your Jan and Deans and things like that, like all the vocal groups of the '60s. They're excellent bands. They're excellent things to listen to, but I don't group them into the genre as it's understood now. But
Yeah.
people fight about that, and they shouldn't. It's dumb.
Well, people fight about lots of things they
Yeah.
shouldn't. People just love to fight.
Well,
They really do.
that's what this stuff is for. None of this matters, and we can't fight about the things that do matter because it gets too hairy, So we fight about the
Right.
things that don't matter, and that's how we entertain ourselves. So
Yeah, like,
it's beautiful.
we talk about the greatest guitar player of all time,
Oh my
like
gosh, there's no
like
such
it's a
thing.
quantifiable competition.
Yeah, yeah. If you can identify someone as the greatest, then you've also identified them as overrated, and now everyone's like picking on them and throwing stones at them. Like there's no such thing because it's so subjective, and there's no
Yeah.
such thing as good tone or bad tone, or good gear and bad gear, or a good burrito or a. There are
No,
bad
there are bad
burritos.
burritos. No, there are absolutely bad. We're gonna stop you right there, sir.
Right,
there
right.
are there
I'll
are
still eat
bad
them.
burritos.
I'll still eat them.
That's like me, and it's like pizza for me. It's like even bad
Right.
pizza.
I mean, if
It's
I would rather have really awful pizza than like just kind of middle of the road. Like, give me something to remember at least,
no, no. I'll take middle of the road every day because it's probably gonna be really great cold. Um,
Oh, sure, yeah. I
I
mean,
don't understand why that's a thing, but cold pizza is a thing and it's amazing. I love it.
cold pizza's awesome. Like, I don't know why. Like, if I ran a pizza place, I would sell cold pizza on the menu. I'd be like,
Ooh,
yesterday's pizza, it's half off. It's in the fridge. If you like cold pizza, we have it on the menu. We'll just pull it out of the fridge, and then you can throw some hot sauce on it. We're not going to warm it up. It's just cold.
it's like cold brew coffee, which I'm pretty sure was just a marketing gimmick to try to not have to throw out the coffee from the day before.
I don't know
Yeah,
a lot about coffee, but you're probably right.
yeah. I know enough to know that cold brew versus cold coffee aren't the same thing, but I don't
Sure,
care,
sure.
y'all. It's all just stale cold coffee. Um,
What the heck is up with sun tea? Get out of here with that. Leaving
don't
your
you
tea
be
outside in the
don't you be
sun.
hating on our Southern Sun tea.
Now I'm supposed to be all impressed that you left tea outside. Come on.
No, I do not know if it tastes different, but I know that the experience as a kid was really fun.
Sure.
Like the idea of, oh, we're gonna go do this outside. We don't have to boil water. The sun's gonna do it for us because we live in a
Yeah.
freaking frying pan.
Maybe that should have been a warning. I should have like alarmed you like, "Hey, we can cook outside. Maybe we shouldn't live here."
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't be outside
Maybe
because
God didn't intend this to be a habitable zone.
that's very very possible. So
Mhm.
talking about gigs though, and talking about Dinosaur Ghost, and you're gigging again, and you've got
Mhm.
another group that you're starting to gig with. That I don't know if you're
Maybe we'll
supposed to.
see.
Maybe we'll see. Um, how much live music do you still catch anymore? Do you go out much anymore? Catch live music?
I've been trying to get out more. I mean, I'm coming out of that stage of parenthood where you have to be home all
Mm,
night every night. My kids are sleeping through the night. They have regular bedtimes. I'm self-employed, so I can stay out late on a Thursday if I want to. I'm going to pay for it. I'll still be tired, but it's like I'm
right.
not going to be wrecked at work. I'll just, you know, I'm my own boss. I don't have to worry about it too much. So I have been trying to get out and get to local gigs more often. Um, Not a ton, but like I'll probably get out 4 or 5 times a year to see a gig or something like that. And that's kind of transitioning into a new part of my life where I can get out again has fed into me getting my band started back up again and trying out a couple other bands and just being interested in playing out and playing with people again. It's nice. It's a nice place to be.
Yeah, it's a thing I'm doing more again, getting out and playing, but I'm also discovering that it's that much harder to find places to play live anymore. I think it was getting tough pre-COVID, and then COVID happened, and a lot of places just stopped doing it. And I
Hmm.
think a lot of places have gotten in the habit of not doing it. At least over around here, there's just fewer and fewer places that are having live music, and so I'm finding that there's, um, I don't know, there's just fewer bands. I used to get pickup gigs all the time. Like some
Hmm.
guitar player couldn't make it or bass player couldn't make it. I'd get a phone call and they'd, say, "Hey, can you fill in for this couple of dates or this, that, the other?" They're a lot fewer and far between than they used to be.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's
I've never done that sort of playing, so I don't know if I'm missing out on like I can't take the temperature of the scene because
yeah.
no one's ever invited me to fill in on their band because it would be a disaster.
I think I tell you what, Ryan, you ever come to Mississippi, you can fill in on a blues gig with me. I'm gonna
You'll
I'm
only
gonna
let that happen
I'm gonna
once.
have a blues gig with you on guitar. We're gonna do it.
Well, okay, I'm down. I'll make a
Yeah.
fool of myself anywhere. So
I mean, yeah, all surf guitar is blues with,
yeah,
lots and lots of reverb.
sure, sure. It's close enough.
Yeah.
Like the blues progression is pretty common
Oh
in
yeah.
surf guitar. It's just handled a little bit different.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
I have no
it's all
idea how it's handled.
pentatonic. Just pentatonic noodling, minor stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, that actually makes it that much more interesting to me. I feel like you get some modal stuff in
Hmm.
surf guitar that you don't get in blues and the blues rock and the southern rock and stuff that I'm used
Yeah,
to
yeah.
to playing and hearing.
And there's experimentation with like all sorts of exotic scales and Middle Eastern scales and stuff like that. And you know,
This podcast is supported in part by String Joy Strings. I'm a snob, at least that's what people tell me. I'm never okay with good enough, and that's where String Joy Strings come in. They're better than good enough. They're the best. String Joy are making some of the finest strings available today right up the road from me in Nashville, Tennessee. They offer custom sets, balanced tension, coated strings, the works. If you need it, they can probably make it happen. You should be using Stringjoy strings, and if you're going to order from them, you really could help this podcast out by clicking the affiliate link down in the description or show notes below. You get amazing strings, I get a little bit of that back to help the show keep going. It's a win-win situation. Get your Stringjoy strings today. Yeah, I mean, you got Dick Dale, Lebanese,
yeah,
out
we
here
got Dick
playing
Dale.
surf guitar.
Hmm.
Which I did not realize for a long, long time that he was
And
Lebanese. I had no idea.
Link Ray's Native American.
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
So he brings a lot of kind of indigenous beats into things and stuff, and there's a lot of that going on. Like it's kind of a very interesting genre in that direction.
Yeah, it's something I want to do a little more diving into as I've learned a little bit more about it. I recently read The Birth of Loud. From It's the story of Fender and Les Paul,
Hmm.
and a great book. Highly recommend everyone who's into guitar at all check it out. But of course, when it's documenting the rise of Fender, of course it can't help but document the rise of surf guitar
Of
and
course.
whatever you want to call the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
So a lot of that, and so that's kind of sparked a new interest in it for me, and hearing those sounds and getting an idea of what that because that's what drove Fender. Those were the bands of the
Yeah.
time where he was local
Hmm.
bands, the folks working in his shop, stuff they were playing. So I find it really, really fascinating. So I've been getting a little more into it, and I know you're really into that scene, so I may probe you for some band
Totally.
recommendations
Yeah.
besides the obvious.
Another fun direction to go in that kind of in the genre is Japanese surf because the Japanese bring a really different vibe in.
Really
Yeah, because they already have a strong tradition of very like kind of twangy stringed instruments that get plucked in a very similar way, and there's their interpretation of surf is fantastic, like really fun stuff.
interesting. I'm
Yeah,
definitely gonna have to check that out. Uh, and I don't know, the Japanese music culture is so fascinating to me. There are so many variations, and they are not just as a culture not afraid to like take it to extremes.
yeah,
Uh, I have a friend of mine who as another Southern California guy, but he was the one who first turned me on to baby metal before like they blew up and everybody knew who they were.
yeah, yeah.
And I remember, and he is like his parents immigrated from Japan to the U.S., so he's very tied into Japanese culture, and he was like, "This is what music in Japan is like." So that's what he sends me to tell me that this is what Japanese music is like. And so he
Right.
didn't preface it and say, "Oh, this is a niche genre or this is a small genre." Like, no, this is Japanese music.
Yeah, this just represents all Japanese
Yes.
music right now.
Yeah, it was wild, and that of course sent me down a rabbit hole there for a little while of finding all sorts of obscure bands.
Hmm.
It's such a wild time. I do actually love baby metal. I think it's some of the weirdest like combination of like saccharine bubblegum pop sounds and then like thrashy metal sounds, and it's just
Yeah,
it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So pivoting just a little bit. So we've come out of NAMM. We've seen some of the releases. We've seen some of the stuff happening this year. Um, you did a whole video where you tried to find all the surf guitars at NAMM. Um, we've established you didn't quite make it.
I didn't get all of them. You can't get them all. There's a couple notable ones we missed, but really that because that's the third time we've done that. We did it last year at NAMM. We did it at Sweetwater, and then now we've done it again. Really, the premise there is just an excuse to like check out everything at NAMM in one video. And like give it a goal instead of just like let's wander NAMM. Like
Yeah.
it gets decent clicks, and so we're probably just gonna do it forever.
It made me wonder if I should do next NAMM, do a video, maybe the only video I make at NAMM, a similar idea, but instead do all of the blues guitars at NAMM.
Yes.
And it's literally just going to be every guitar at NAMM.
Yeah.
Every
Is this a blues
single
guitar?
guitar.
Well, for surf guitar, we have three criteria.
Right.
We've got does it have single coils?
Mhm.
And that could be anything that happens to have any amount of single coils. Like it could
If
be
it's
some
got
sort of
one and
like
4 humbuckers, it's got a single coil.
every Ibanez with a Floyd, 2 humbuckers, and a single in the middle is a surf guitar. Because the second criteria is wiggle stick, and every Ibanez has a wiggle stick, so every Ibanez is a surf guitar. Everything with a Floyd. And then does it have a surfy body shape? Generally, offsets, absolutely. Strats, like default, yes, that's a surf guitar.
Right.
Telecasters are out unless they happen to be offsetted. But then like if something's got a wild fun shape, then yeah, sure, that's fun, that's crazy, that could be surfy. But like it's real loose because we're just going 2 out of 3,
right,
with extra points for fun finishes, which means nothing. It just means that
I was gonna say, what is
finishes.
the extra points for finishes? What is that?
There's no point system. But what are the 3 things for a blues guitar?
I mean, it's got strings and it's got a pickup and
it could be anything. All right.
Yeah,
it could be literally anything.
Yeah, because I've thought about this. I'm like, when you put out the one at Sweetwater, I watched your video on that, and I was like, what would I make the criteria for what is a blues guitar? And I think it would be the loosest criteria ever because I mean you got blues guitarists out here like Samantha Fish playing a homemade 3-string cigar box with a freaking 2-inch bolt as the nut. That's a guitar. That's a blues guitar. Anything counts.
I think what you could do is you could be like my top 10 blues guitars at NAMM, and it's just whatever. It's just whatever caught your eye. And then you have this whole discussion in the comments of the video, like, what is a blues guitar? Because, things he picked don't hit the cliches, I suppose. Because when I think of blues guitars, I think like a semi-hollow sort of thing, like an ES335 or something like that, and then Strats. And I know it could be anything, but that
tends to be the go-to. Those two tend to be the go-tos.
And not all of a Strat, just the neck pickup.
Just the neck pick. Even though a lot of them use the bridge pickup, but I get it. It's sort of like if you did all the country guitars, it's basically every guitar that has a Telecaster bridge pickup.
Right.
That's it. Does it have a Tele bridge pickup? That's a country guitar.
Country guitar. Yeah.
Done. Yeah, I think the blues one. Oh, go ahead.
Here's what you do. You shoot the same video, but then you redo the voiceover, and you just make like 10 videos, like every country guitar at NAMM. every metal guitar at NAMM, every blues guitar at NAMM, every jazz guitar at NAMM.
And then
It's just the same video, but with a different voiceover.
and then speed it up to be able to fit on TikTok. And that's it. That's it. Just
one
speed the whole
guitar
thing
per
up.
one guitar per frame, you know.
Yep, that's it. No, just you have what is it? 3 minutes on TikTok? Is that the max video length? I don't
Yeah.
actually know anymore.
I
don't
think
look at
no,
TikTok.
I think there's a 10-minute level or something like
Oh
that.
God, that's way too
But
long.
no one's gonna watch that. That's not what TikTok is for.
No,
TikTok is
that's
for
way too
that like
long.
immediate dopamine thing, you know?
Yeah, why is TikTok 10 minutes?
I don't know.
That
It's
doesn't make any
stupid.
sense.
Then why is YouTube Shorts cut off at 1 minute?
Right? That should be the thing that's, up to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand. I
None
don't
of it makes
understand
any
media.
damn
I don't know
sense.
why I do this. None of it makes sense.
Have you seen that I've gone viral on TikTok? Like, this is a whole other thing.
No. What'd you do?
Oh, you don't know about this?
No.
Oh, you might have to
Oh,
edit.
no, yes I do, about the mannequin.
Yeah,
Is
the
this
mannequin.
the
Yeah,
oh my God.
I'm at 2.3 million views on that.
What?
Yeah,
Are you serious?
I am.
It's the creepiest thing ever. It
I've
is
been
so
trying
awful.
I've been trying to convince myself to drive 6 hours one way to go pick this thing up because it's out in
Dude,
Phoenix.
you have to have it.
I know, but it's like, when am I gonna do it? Like, they won't ship it. I have to go out there to get it, or I have to like pay someone to go get it for me and ship it, and it'd be a big pain in the ass. Like,
Where is it?
it's in Phoenix, Arizona.
It's in Phoenix?
Yeah.
Dude, just get Phil McKnight to grab it. He'll grab it
I was
for you.
thinking about it, but I got it worked up in my head, like, and the thing is, now the video is dropping off. It's not getting the views that it was anymore. But
Yeah,
not
sure.
that matters.
No.
Because what I want to do is just make a bunch of dumb content with it.
Dude, it's your stand-in. It's now your stand-in.
It's gonna definitely cost me at least $2,000 to get this thing.
Oh
which
gosh.
is like a whole other thing. Like, do you edit any of this before you publish it? Do you put up?
Not usually, no.
Are you putting this up on YouTube?
Yeah. It'll
Oh,
be
you
up
are.
on YouTube.
You should. I'll send you some photos, and you should try to slam them in there.
Okay, I'll put some photos in for you YouTube viewers so you can see. If I did this, you're going to be seeing it right now.
Yeah, or you put a link to an imager in the description or whatever. Like
yeah,
that. Whatever
that sounds like
you
work.
It's your show. Do whatever you want. But
can you outsource Steve to do that for me? Can
I got tagged in this post on TikTok, and they're like, "Oh, that looks like 60 Cycle Hum." And I'm watching this video, and it's this girl like touring this like consignment shop, antique mall sort of place where like there's a bunch of different vendors under one roof sort of thing. And all of a sudden she shows this mannequin that's naked and it's wearing a blue cape, and it's sitting on a chair, and it looks exactly like me. Like,
dude, it looks identical.
The face looks identical. Exactly like me. So I do like a video stitch of it replying to it, and I'm just like, what? Why? Like, who did this? What is this? I know full well it was probably made before I was born or something like that. But
sure.
Still, like, good bit to be like, who made a mannequin of me?
It's prophetic.
And it just blew up like crazy. 2.2 million views. Something that's wild about it is like 80-something% of the people watching it and following me now because of it are all women, which is like a totally different flip of my demographics.
Yeah, that is not any Guitar Channel's demographic.
No, I wish that'd be amazing. And now I'm wondering, like, how do I spin this into like a money making thing? How do I make money off these women who are watching me now? How do I get them to not abandon the channel when I start publishing guitar stuff again?
Yeah, like goofy surf guitar content.
yeah. They're all just gonna be like,
they're gonna be like, this is not what we signed up for.
Or maybe this is, my first legitimate forte into being a thirst trap channel. So
there you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Just
but if you do that,
showing a little bit more skin, maybe, I don't know.
But the thirst trap has to be all the mannequin though. Like it's never actually you.
Maybe yeah. Like I dress up the mannequin sexy, and I'm like the doofus. Yeah.
I think it'd be beautiful. It is uncanny how creepily it looks like you though.
Yeah.
Like I know that like the whole finding people who look like you was a running gag on 60 Cycle Hum for a while.
Yeah.
In the Facebook group. But this one, It can't be
it's on
beat.
another
It can't be
level.
topped.
Yeah, it's super weird.
It is
But like,
extremely weird.
do I like I'm trying to think of how I'm gonna do it. Like it's expensive to fly out there. The mannequin
Yeah,
itself costs $1,500. That's what they're charging for this
sure.
thing. It's a stage prop from a theater. It was used in a Last Supper play. So it's like a legitimate like big wooden stage prop mannequin thing that with like a highly detailed crafted, rubber head on it with hair and
Yeah.
beard and everything, like dimples and pock marks and stuff. It looks like a person. Glass eyes, the whole thing. Um to fly out there, depending on how soon I want to do it, it's going to cost me my ticket at least a couple $100.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to have to get a ticket for the mannequin to fly back.
Have,
So
have,
I'm going to
have
have to
you
get
sent them a picture of your face though and be like, but it's me?
It's me. He'll sit on my lap. But I'm going to have to buy a one-way ticket for this mannequin because I'm not putting it under the plane. It's got to sit next to me, and I got to
Oh,
get
yeah.
a video and photo of me sitting on a plane next to this mannequin.
I want video of you going through TSA with it.
Right.
That's what I want.
I'm going to have to put it in a wheelchair and wheel it through the airport. And I'm going to have to put a GoPro on the wheelchair to catch everyone's expressions as I'm walking through the airport with a mannequin that looks exactly like me.
You're not explaining to me that this is a bad idea.
And then if I fly in, I'm gonna have to take Ubers around, so I'm gonna have to take a mannequin that looks like me into an Uber and get driven around and get driven to the airport and stuff. And it's naked, so I'm gonna have to take it to like a thrift store or Target or something and get some clothes for it. And it's because I'll be Ubering everywhere. I'm not going to be able to leave it in the car. I'm going to have to take it into Target.
You're never going to convince anyone that you didn't have it made to look like you. That's the worst part.
Well, it's not exactly. It has brown eyes, and I've got these pretty blue eyes.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
I'm leaning into the thirst trap
detail
penalty.
everyone's going to go look at.
Everyone's going to be like, oh, it doesn't look exactly like him. It's got those brown eyes.
Yeah.
But like the hair, the beard, the facial structure, the nose, like it's even like it's naked. Even his legs kind of look like my legs. Like, how did they get that detail? But yeah, I'm trying to figure out if I should or if I can even go get this thing. I could drive there. Yeah. It's 6 hours one way. I could technically try to make a go of doing it one day, and a friend of mine wants to try to like make a little mini doc out of doing it, but I don't know if he's available for more than one day. That'd
be a long road trip. That'd be a long day.
It's a lot of driving to get a mannequin.
I'm so here for it though. Dude, I would totally go on that road trip. If I lived closer, I'd be happy to make that drive.
You can drive the other direction and meet me there.
It's a lot further than 6 hours from me to Phoenix, Arizona.
That's got to be like a 20-hour drive or something like that.
Yeah, it's around 20.
Yeah.
That would just be bonkers.
Yeah. But yeah, I did have the thought. I don't know how we would do it. I pitched to my wife like, hey, let's get someone to watch the kids for a night, and we'll drive out one day. We'll buy the mannequin. We'll go out to dinner with Phil McKnight and his wife. They're lovely people to hang out with. Mm-hmm. And then the next day we'll drive home, sort of thing. But it's hard to plan even like date nights. So how are we gonna make this thing happen? Yeah. So, but
that's a lot.
If that mannequin stays there for a couple of weeks, I don't imagine it's a hot ticket item. Like I don't imagine it's flying off the shelf.
It might be now. 2.2 million people have seen it.
But that's a crazy number. Like I know some people watch it over and over and over again, but like even if you think like if that is one person, one view, we know it's not. But even if it was, that's 1 in every 200 Americans has seen.
Oh my God.
Has seen my face and seen the mannequin's face and
I never even thought of it that way, but that's creepy when you think of it that way.
1 in 200 Americans, statistically.
Yeah. I have stopped the picture at this point if I got it posted.
Yeah.
Y'all don't need to see it that much more. It's uncanny.
Yeah.
But so as we get kind of close to the end here, as we're nearing the end of the episode,
I
know That's okay. We got Patreon to look forward to, so it's going to be great.
Sure.
Patreon's where we go over there and get weird. Listeners, if
Ooh.
you want to get all the bonus content, you can come over and support on Patreon, patreon.com/40watt podcast, where for as little as, well, to get the bonus content, you're going to have to pony up $5 a month.
Mm.
Or you can support the show at $3 a month. That's great. So, but we'll finish on topic. How about that? We'll finish on
Is there a
topic.
topic? What's the
No, there's
topic?
not. We don't have it. I pretend this is a guitar podcast sometimes. Sometimes
You
we
know
start
what?
there. Some guests keep me on topic. Shout
The
out
most
to Alex
important
over at Copper Sound. He loves to stay on topic, but
the most important part about guitar is the people playing them. You
yeah.
know, it's like people are on topic. If we're talking to people, you're on topic.
You know, I had this conversation. I was talking to Nelly from Collings, who I'm going to have on the podcast here in a few weeks. Foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
But I was talking to him. He was like, "So, what was the coolest thing you saw at NAMM?" Because I didn't get to go look at anything. Like, I didn't get to go anywhere. And I said, "Dude, I have no idea, because I spent all of my time meeting
Yeah.
and talking to people, and I found that way more interesting than any of the gear at NAMM."
And also, NAMM is an awful place to like try gear.
Yeah,
Like it's horrible. Like you can pick it up and you can look at it, but like to actually play it and hear it, it's a terrible place to kick the tires. Like you barely get any idea of what anything's actually like. It's not supposed to be for that, you know. It's
yeah,
supposed to be for networking. It's supposed to be for business deals and stuff.
yeah. I heard Zach over at Mythos talking about the Volume Police. Apparently, they did exist, and they had a
Mm-hmm.
grand total of 2 for all of NAMM.
Wow,
Yeah, they had 2 people.
it's not enough.
Not even close
But
to
like
enough.
pre-COVID NAMM, like NAMM police was like there was like Gestapo marching down the halls. You know, like they were everywhere, spying on everything, like threatening to shut booths down and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
it was always this big drama. Honestly, like maybe because there's not as many booths there now, it still feels like it's about the same volume level as when there were
yeah.
heavy police patrols through NAM. But I'm sure that if they got it back to normal, where there's probably 30-40% more stuff going on in there, then they would have to bring back the NAM police again.
Yeah, I totally, by day 2 for sure. I had a raspy voice on day 1. By the end of day 1, day 2, it was shot. In fact, that's why I wasn't sure if I actually had the sinus infection I ended up with, or if I had just talked myself completely and
Yeah,
utterly ill.
yeah,
I couldn't tell the difference. So
yeah.
yeah,
That
it was
if
bonkers.
my first couple of years of going to NAM, by the end of the last day, it's just like blowing hot bloody wind out your throat and you can't make words anymore. And like I had
Yep,
is a skill I had to learn, is not blowing out my voice the first day at NAM. You get so excited just talking to everyone and trying to hear everyone and talking at full volume, and it's just too much. You just have
it
to
is
like
way too much.
chill out and lay back and not wreck yourself, which is hard to do because it is exciting to be there. It is
Yeah.
an exciting place, but man, it
So
wrecks you.
so having said that, we'll close with what was the most exciting thing you found at NAMM that was an actual piece of gear, actual thing you found that got you hype? Was there anything?
I mean, I love all of Mel Waldorf's stuff. I couldn't say his name, all of a sudden, from Alameda Guitars, but I actually
Yeah.
did buy something that I tried at NAM, and I ordered it like the day after I got home,
Oh,
and it's
nice.
sitting right here. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, what'd you get?
I already showed it on my podcast, but here you go. I got the xylophone Beat, which is like a little drum machine thing.
Oh, rad.
And I've been playing around with this thing like crazy. I want to incorporate into videos, like making little beats and playing along to it. But it's not just beats, it's also like bass sounds.
And you do it with a stylus?
Yep.
Oh, that's
But you can
wild.
also like, and I'm just like freehanding it here, but you can do recordings and stuff. It's got a click.
Yeah.
You can speed it up, slow it down.
Nice.
It's fun. It's a fun little
like
thing to lay down some beats. And I've been jamming along to it with guitars and stuff. And like, I like it a lot. And it's like $40.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can have a lot of fun without spending a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
It's really wild. I put in a pre-order for that Dave Grohl 335. So,
Oh, did you?
yeah, I had to.
How much is that going to be?
$12.99.
That ain't bad.
No, I figure it's got the good Gibson pickups. It comes with a hard shell case. I guess some people think that adds value. I mean, it does add value, but like the last thing I
Sure.
need is another case in my
I
house.
know.
But yeah, so I went ahead. Once somebody told me that Sweetwater was taking pre-orders. Like it's not on their website, but they were taking pre-orders. So I was like, I emailed my rep. I'm like, hey, can you go ahead and put me in? I just forgot my rep's name, and I should not forget my rep's name.
Mine is named Robert. I'll never forget Robert's name. Why did you forget your rep's name?
I don't know. I can't think of his name right now.
I bet people are freaking out about these 1,000 plus Epiphones, huh?
Yeah, and like I get it. I do understand, but also everything is more expensive.
But also, like, I get why people would freak out about that stuff. They're doing it with Squire too. Like Squire's creeping up the prices. Not quite $1,000 yet.
Yeah.
But like, it's been established for probably over a decade now. It maybe not quite, but like starting with brands with like Reverend and things like that, like Korean guitars that are made really well with good QC, like pushing $1,000. They're pushing up into the mid thousands now.
Yeah.
$1,500, $1,600 for these import guitars. You know, you got Duesenberg that came in, and they're, you know, like import guitars. Oh my gosh, we're on topic finally.
It only took us 54 minutes.
I know, but you know, like the proof is out there that, you know, you can get really good guitars made overseas. Like Epiphone is Gibson's import brand, and I realized that for, you know, the teen years and the young years for a lot of us, Epiphone was like, oh, that's how you get a $399 or $299 like starter guitar that has 2 open coil pickups and trash tuners or whatever. That's not what these are.
No, they're
like
not.
These they're making high quality instruments, and we're seeing this from a lot of different brands that are bringing in import variations under their name brand or under like a cheaper variation of their brand.
Yep.
And they're good guitars. Like you're paying for a good guitar. You're not paying for what was the $399 Epiphone in 1999.
Yeah,
You know,
which was absolute and utter trash.
Right,
now,
right. I mean, they'd be fun project starters or whatever.
Yeah, but now with the rebrand of Epiphone, especially, it's not like the headstock's the be all end all. But when they changed the headstock, they changed everything else, so it's an easy marker, right? They changed the headstock and did the Inspired by line. I had one of the Firebirds. I played a bunch of the Les Pauls and the 335s, and they're still available. I don't know if my data is still accurate, but I think the Les Paul or the 335 were like $599 or $699, and they still are. And they're a great guitar.
I always wanted one of the Wildcats or the Alley Cats or something like that.
Those were very rad.
Those are very good Epiphones, and those came out in the late 90s, early 2000s, something like that. And that was kind of like they've always had higher tier Epiphones, but if they came out with that now, then you know that would be a $1,100 guitar, $1,200.
Remember the Elitist series?
What did they look like?
It was I believe it was the Japanese made Epiphone. So they did a series made in Japan where they were higher quality, better QC, better components. They didn't really take off. People probably didn't like Gibson calling anything elitist. It was a little too on the nose for them. But
hey, we already have an elitist line. It's just Gibson proper.
But you know, but then you look at a 335 Epiphone 335, which, by the way, actually calling them a 335 instead of the creative naming scheme they were doing before. They're Dots, or they're a Dot Studio, or they're a Sheraton, or they're a 335. Sure. You get that, say $700. If it's $699, I don't know exactly how much it is.
Yeah.
Well, with the Grohl, you get a sought after model and color with upgraded electronics, hard shell case, attached to an artist name that most people adore.
Yeah.
$12.99 doesn't feel like a far cry
No.
for that guitar.
There's a lot of brands selling import guitars that are not anywhere near the name brand that is Epiphone, let alone Gibson. That are selling things that don't have an attachment to a known artist, and they're charging more than that for a made in Korea, made in China, made in Indonesia sort of guitar. Like it's a fair price.
I think so. I think people will eventually get over it. Most people will eventually get over it. They'll always be the diehards.
It's the Gibson fans, like hard G Gibson fans. They're toxic, but it's like their fandom isn't for that style of guitar anyways. But that's not who it's for. It's for people that don't have that mentality, So it's like someone who buys Murphy Labs or whatever is going to look down their nose at it, or they dream about buying a Murphy Lab. Maybe they never will. But like your average everyday player that's like, oh, I think I'd love to have like a Thunderbird. Yeah, they're gonna buy from that line.
Yeah, 100%.
Why wouldn't they?
And they're going to get a great guitar.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, I appreciate you coming on, hanging out. We're going to hang out a little more for our own Patreon.
Sure.
And where I do have a couple of conversation starters for Patreon. That way we have, and they're relatively on topic. They were chosen by Patreon supporters. So it's a new thing. I did it last year with, I asked all the Patreon supporters. I can say it now. Didn't really say it on the main episode. Last year, I asked every guest on Patreon to give me 5 perfect albums, and then I and then I had them give me off of each album a perfect song, and then I built a Spotify playlist off of those perfect songs. It's an interesting list it's a very interesting playlist.
Huh.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd need to do some homework.
Yeah. I love putting people on the spot.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, listeners, we sure appreciate you hanging out. Appreciate you listening, watching. If you're watching over on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Please follow wherever you listen to podcasts. Please leave a review that helps other people find the podcast, and that's ultra meaningful in helping the show continue going. Make sure you go follow 60 Cycle Hum on all the places, especially, obviously, TikTok, where y'all are just blowing up.
Yeah, with mannequin content. If you like mannequins, head over to TikTok.
all those links are below. Click them, go do the thing, and until next time, be good to yourselves, be kind to each other, and make some noise.